Hey everybody, welcome to another Ark Survival Ascended tips and tricks video. My name's Ben and today I've got 15 quick tips that you might not know, including how to make insanely powerful healing items, how to get huge performance gains on Xbox and PlayStation without using console commands, and the secret ability the Arg Trap has that you might have missed. The gameplay today is on the Xbox Series X, but the tips are going to cover Xbox, PS5 and PC. So first up today, we're looking at something that you might have missed about secret doors in Ark Ascended. If you weren't familiar with the secret doors, then it's just one of the different options you can build when placing walls in Ark Ascended. You open up the menu, you see down the bottom here on Xbox, you press X, it'd be square on PlayStation, and you can scroll through the different options available to you. The one on the end here is the stone secret doorway, which is this very handy and sneaky doorway you can place so you can make your walls just open up like this without having a door. But if you're a PvP player, it's important to know that there is quite a big hit point difference between these two walls. Normal stone walls, such as this one, you can see here on the right, they have 10,000 HP. But these secret doors here actually only have 6,250, nearly half as much health. Same applies to metal walls as well. You can see this has 10,000 on this metal wall here, and if you go up to this secret door, you can see this one here that has 6,250. This seems a little weird really, because the actual doorway here also has 10,000, but it does match up with the door, which has 6,250 as well. So not an absolute game changer when people are pummeling your base with C4 and RPGs, but it's definitely worth noting if you're putting loads of them down that it is going to make your base weaker. Now if you're playing on PC, you probably figured out already that you can use the comma and the period keys on the keyboard to whistle dinos to go to certain locations. You can do whistle and it will send them to either move to a location or attack a target. But you can also do this on console as well by holding down LB on Xbox, that's L1 on PlayStation, and then pressing down on the D-pad, and it's going to give you this green arrow here, and they will head on over. This is pretty useful in certain situations, like if you're going through a cave and you want to send a certain dinosaur out in front of you, you can tell them to go and take the lead and sit safely behind. This brings us on nicely to number 3. So that's an actual whistle all command that we're using there, but the reason these other dinosaurs aren't moving is because you can actually set them to ignore group whistle commands. We've all got memories of when we were new in Ark and we had loads of dinosaurs and someone did a whistle follow all, and all of your dinosaurs suddenly charged into one corner. But what you can do that you might have missed is you can go up to dinosaurs and open the Radial menu, and then in the behavior section you can find this option here to ignore or heed group whistles. So this is turned off at the moment. If we activate it and then do follow all, you can see the DIDN here is now going to follow us. And then if we go back and change that option, you can see it says change to ignore group whistles, set that as active, and then we can do follow all. It's worth remembering this will also include changes to stance and behavior. So you can see at the moment this DIDN is on passive and ignoring whistles. If I do a whistle neutral command and then we go and check the DIDN, you'll see that the DIDN is still on passive. So worth remembering that. If you do have an animal that you want to follow you that is set to ignore group commands, it will still listen to single commands. So whilst this DIDN won't listen to whistle all, if I want it to follow me, I can do a whistle 1 and it will still follow me. And again, if I want it to stop, I can't do a stop all, I have to do the stop 1. Today's video is brought to you by Manscaped.com, the global men's lifestyle brand that is leveling up beards all around the world. Now, I know what you're thinking, Ben, surely that beard must have been digitally enhanced in order to make you look so fresh-faced and young. But I've actually just been using the Beard Hedger Pro Kit from Manscaped. The Pro Kit comes with everything you could think of to max out your beard, including their vegan and cruelty-free shampoo, conditioner, beard balm, brush and comb, and of course the beard hedger itself. I absolutely love using these trimmers. They're waterproof, cordless, USB rechargeable, so I don't have to try and find that weird shaving plug thing to charge them up. You can also adjust the cutting length to 20 different settings just by spinning this little wheel, so no more digging through a box of 20 different plastic guards in order to find a different length to cut your beard. There'll be no more itching your beard when you should be saving your teammates once you've tried out these fantastic products from Manscaped. You can now get 20% off plus free global shipping shipping when you use code TBG at manscaped.com. So why not take a look and get your hands in the kit that I use to keep my beard looking great. Next up, when you're using your Spyglass, you can actually place markers when looking down it. So if you're playing on console, you can do these by pressing LB and RB together. That's L1 and R1 on PlayStation. It will place these quick pings on the map for your teammates. If you hold down both those bumper buttons, you can select from a radial wheel to pick which one you want it to be. So we say we want a danger marker and it will place one of those. Then if we want to look through our Spyglass, we can look over here and we can place a danger marker down where we were looking with the Spyglass. Another very useful one to know on console is that you can use RT, that's R2 on PlayStation, to select things on the radial wheel. On PC, you can just click the mouse button, but on console, it can be a little bit awkward when you're trying to highlight things like this and you might select it wrong when you're letting go of both the buttons and not actually do it. But what you can do is press right trigger and that will select the different option. If I just press right trigger here, then we're going to mount up. So if you find yourself often missing the options when you're on the radial menus, then just get in the habit of using the right trigger to select things. Nice little tip I found for relatively early game stone once you've got yourself a DIDN is rather than going around hitting rocks on the land like you might think about doing this, you see we get 100 from that one, we roll over to another one, get another 100, and we have to move around a lot to get between all of these rocks and just doesn't feel terribly efficient. You can of course fly around with the Arg, but you still need to keep picking up, putting it down, or try and position it next to a rock so that it'll hit it with its tail on its own, and it can just be quite a slow process. What I found to be super efficient for gathering massive amounts of stone, and keep in mind this is on default harvest settings, but if you go around in the shallows on a lot of the areas of coastline, you'll find big clumps of rock like this, and all of these rocks will give you a nice amount of stone when you hit them, and you get loads of them all in one spot. We sit here and just mash the button for a minute. You can see we've got 842 stone just from one tiny little spot. We go over to this other clump of rocks just over here. We can see there's a big old clump here, and all of these are going to give us a full whack once we get them. We've got 270, 374, and there's still another 5 or 6 to go here. And again here, just a tiny bit along the way, there's another massive clump of rocks where we can get loads of stone very quickly. And by hitting these little coastal stones, I'm normally able to fill up my weight a couple of times and the Arg's weight just within a few minutes. You also get a few of these a bit deeper underwater, depending on how risky you want to be, how many sharks around. You see there's loads of these underwater as well. So if you run out of nodes to hit, you can even go down here and start hitting these as well. And it's usually pretty safe in some of the more shallow areas. Make sure you don't drown your dino or yourself, of course, but the DIDNs aren't too bad in the water, so as long as you don't go too far from the shore, you should be absolutely fine. A good trick to know if you want to get some performance gains and you can't be bothered to sit there typing in console commands, and these will work on PC or console, but they're going to be more useful for Xbox and PlayStation players, particularly for Xbox Series S players who might be lacking some performance. If you check out the mod, a simple performance mod, you can use this on officials, unofficials, single player works just the same, and install this. What this basically does is run a series of console commands for you automatically without you having to do anything whenever you load up that game. And it basically disables clouds, makes a load of other graphics tweaks to your shadows, to foliage quality, reflections, textures, enables VSync and various other things, and makes some pretty big CPU optimizations and FPS improvements. Definitely something I would recommend trying if you're struggling to get performance on console and you can't be bothered to sit there typing in some commands. If you'd rather have a little bit more control over the console commands you're using, then you can enter them manually. I've got a couple of videos up already explaining how you can do that and what commands you should be using, so go and check those out. I'll put a link on screen and down below. So only one command I would recommend checking out if you play in first person mode a lot like I do is grass.sizescale space 0.5, and what that's going to do is make all of the grass around the map a little bit shorter. It's not going to make it disappear, but it will make it a bit smaller, and then when you're running around you're not going to be completely buried in grass and you can actually see. Another handy thing I wish I'd known about sooner is custom recipes in Ark. I remember when I first discovered these and it was a complete game changer, especially when you're going to do a boss fight or fighting in caves. And how these work basically is by using notes and the cooking pot. Now, they're a bit weird on console. The menu is extremely janky, so they may end up changing this at some point. But essentially what you do is you put a note into a cooking pot, and I would also recommend putting some food in there you want to make a recipe out of. And then on the console version of the game, you have to click the button in the middle here, enable autocraft or disable autocraft. There should be another button saying make recipe, but this seems to do it for some reason. And it will open up this menu here. Now, once you reload this, certainly on the Xbox anyway, you completely lose your movable cursor. You can just move around and highlight things, so you lose a lot of control. It's really hard to move things between the two inventories. You can sort of double click on the stack of meat here if I can manage to select it, and I can move it in singles back and forth, but I can't really move full stacks because if I press the triggers, then it starts moving things over here. So it's a bit busted on Xbox. If you do plug a mouse or keyboard into your console, then you can just use this with a cursor and it works absolutely fine. But you can sort of butcher your way through this if you just put the right things in the middle in the cooking pot before you select it. Once you've put items in the cooking pot, then you can select it to be a food or a drink. You can set various colors of the different areas of your thing to make it look cool. So we can have a red burger with green bits in it. You can't actually name these unless you plug a keyboard or mouse in, and then it will let you start typing into these. But what will happen is once you get down to the bottom and you select make recipe, is it will give you this recipe note in your inventory, and then you can craft that into a healing item. You can see here this one will heal 27 health, give you 36 food and 3 stamina. All you need to do to make that item is chuck it in the cooking pot with the ingredients you need to make it. Light that fire, make sure enable auto craft is re-enabled, and you can see here it's just going to craft that until it runs out of meat. Now that might seem kind of interesting but not particularly powerful, but the way it gets very powerful is by using your crafting skill. If you take a mind wipe potion and pump all of your points into crafting skill and then craft one of these recipes, it will make it insanely powerful, and then you can mind wipe back, but that recipe will still be exactly the same and you can craft it even with your standard crafting skill. So I've now taken a mind wipe and dumped a load of points into crafting skill. You can see it's at 1000 now, and if we go back in to make another recipe, and we'll do one exactly the same, which for some reason we did 38 meat on that. So we click the button in the middle, get rid of a couple of these pieces of meat, make this into whatever this thing is, and do make recipe. And if we compare the stats of these two, you can see that this new one we've made will heal you 321 health compared to the 27 health that we would get from the other one. So a massive increase. Also gives you 437 food and some more stamina as well. If you put stim berries in it, then it will give you loads more stamina too. This won't be an insta heal for 300 points. It will go up slowly over time, but it will heal you that amount gradually. And then just to show you, if we take another mind wipe, so we have 0% crafting skill, and go into the cooking pot, you can still see this still says 321 health. And if we throw that in there and turn the fire on, it's going to craft it, and you'll be able to see that we now have this new recipe that heal you 321 health without having to have any points chunked into your crafting skill. A little quick tip and new feature that you might have missed in Arc Ascended is that there is a force respawn option available now if you get stuck in an awkward place or you just want to go and spawn at another bed. Rather than having to go and punch a dinosaur in the face or drown yourself, you can just go into your inventory, highlight your specimen implant. You can see here it says respawn available in a little countdown. Just wait till the countdown has finished running and then it will tell you what button to press. It's right trigger on Xbox, R2 on PlayStation. And then once you press that button, you will die and you'll be able to respawn at one of your more conveniently located beds. If you're playing on a multiplayer server on the console version of the game and you want to open the chat window, you just hold down LB on Xbox or L1 on PlayStation and then press the start button, the pause button, and it will open the chat box. If you want to change the chat option, you can hold down the back button or the select button, and it's going to bring up this Radial menu, and then you can select chat mode, and you can choose from Alliance, Local, Tribe, or Global. So if we change it now to Tribe, and then we try chatting again with LB and start, you can see that it's now set to Tribe chat. Another question I've had quite a lot is how you can disable the very powerful auto aim that is enabled by default on the console version of the game. You can see it tracking there without me pressing anything on my controller at all. That's just the screen moving with no input. If you want to change these settings, go into the pause menu and settings and then advanced, and you'll find in the middle here wireless controller aim. You can change to always when aiming or off. If you set it to when aiming, then it will stop it doing it when you're not aiming down sight, so he'll just be able to walk past here and it won't track. But if I aim in, then you can see it will start to track the target again. You can actually adjust the sensitivity of this slightly as well. So you can see weirdly it's on the left here rather than, underneath it in the menus where it would make sense. You've got aim assist strength multiplier. And you can change this value down to say 50-ish%. Save that and then go back in. And we can see now we've got a bit of aim assist. It tries to go to the center mass, but it's not quite as strong and it won't follow them quite as well. Now, something that I think a lot of people miss is that the Argentavis actually actually has a couple of different ways of picking things up. You should be familiar with it grabbing things with its talons, which is left trigger on Xbox, L2 on PlayStation, but if you fly up to small creatures and click in the right stick or press C on PC, you can actually pick up small stuff like dodos and dillos in the beak of the Arg. You can also pick up things with its talons at the same time, so you can actually carry two dinosaurs at once. We've got the doed and the dodo coming on a little adventure here. Must make it pretty tricky to fly like this, but the Arg doesn't seem to be too bothered. While we're on the subject of the Argentavis, I just wanted to share with you a really great little trap you can use for catching them that I got off Captain Fat Dog on his excellent YouTube channel. I'll put a link to that down below. You can see this fella here is already trapped, and the way you can build this is super simple. You just place down one foundation, 3 stone double doorways like this, 1 stone roof over the top like so, and then you just need 1 double doorway shoved on the side. Make sure this door is closed and the trap is set up like so, and then if you lure an obliging Argentavis through the middle of it, run back quickly, open this door, and it's then going to be completely trapped in this little box, and you can knock it out and tame it at your discretion. Great little cheap, very convenient trap for taming Arges, and full credit to Captain Fat Dog for figuring that one out. And one final very quick tip, because everyone still seems to be asking this: if you missed how to quickly move stuff across inventories on the console version of the game, if you hold down A on Xbox or X on PlayStation and then press the right trigger or R2 on PlayStation, it will move full stacks across just like this. You can do it super quickly, and if you want to move everything quickly between 2 inventories, just press LB or L1 for PlayStation players, and it'll move everything across at the click of a button. So that's everything for today. I've got a bunch of other Arc Ascended tips and tricks videos already uploaded, so make sure you check out those as well, and I have many more planned for the future, so make sure you drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you want to catch those as soon as they go out. Thanks so much for watching. My name's Ben, we are the Beard Guys, and I'll see you next time.